live. Hello everyone, it's a Friday, we've got tank news. If you saw the earlier Discord post, you will know that there's going to be lots of news and it keeps on multiplying. I've had that song stuck in my head all week, so I figured I'd fit it in somewhere.
Gotta get it out somehow, right?
Exactly! And you know, it just needed getting out there. And apparently people want cake, but I've not got any cake or cookies. I wish I had cake and cookies. That would be lovely. Especially after all the pizza talk earlier, because that made me really hungry.
Gotta get your desserts in when you can.
Got to get all the desserts in, because desserts are the best. You found my bot. Well, you might have found my second bot. Remember, there's a KB 2 in game as well.
That's right. Someone's sneaking those new bots in there.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who's doing them, but I know I'm approving them.
Well, let's just say we might take a little bit of time every now and again just to refresh them. Add some new variety in.
Of course. Some fresh bots for the pickings, right?
Exactly, and people apparently like hunting them all out to find out what we've got. So there we go. BAM's a bit low. That's right, because I had to update this the other day. So, audio, Discord.
How do I sound now? How is my volume now?
This is where they tell me that the blowing the ears off.
I could start yelling.
You could. Loud. Is it better? Does it need to go down a bit?
Now it's way too loud? Okay.
Because, you know, chat, I had to drop it all the way down for Tuesday. It needs to come down a tad, they say. Okay, oh, I've done it the wrong way. Let's go for that one.
Testing, audio check. How do I sound? Am I coming through on the other side?
I don't miss hearing any tea. Well, there is lots of tea spilling to happen. Better, sounds good. Okay, there we go. Right, I'll have to make a note of that after stream. One for that one for this one.
As long as it's not me adjusting my vocal cords.
No, it's just everybody has different vocal ranges, so you have to update it every now and again. But speaking of updates, first things first is everybody needs to get into the giveaway. And as I was mentioning to BAM we've got a fancy little thing over there somewhere that's showing you everything that's up for grabs in this giveaway. And it's not just one. It's not just two. We're even pushing the boat out. And it's not just free. We're actually going to give away 4 of these little bundles, so you can get all of it. You're liking the new crazy camos? And yes, the beaver's there. We've got the kamikaze and the style points inscription. It is the same camo off the game board, so you'll be able to get it again if you're lucky. And for the people who don't understand the beaver reference, blame Carbide. That's all we'll say on the matter.
I like Atiko's suggestion. Bob the Skeleton was once a beaver, huh?
Maybe. Who knows? In a different life.
Canadian beaver.
But that's what we're giving away today. And we're going to leave that up for a minute so that, you know, you can take it in. Have a good, hard look at what you could be in with a chance of winning, since we're giving away 4 of these bundles. And apparently one of our colleagues is happy that we're blaming Carbide. No idea why. But on top of this, on top of the giveaway, we do need to mention some housekeeping bits about the Friday streams. So, moving forward, we are evolving the Friday stream, where we will always, or myself, sometimes Winged if I'm taking a bit of time off, will be joining a dev, whether that be BAM or, Zots, maybe somebody else. But it's not going to be every week. So this way, we make sure that you get the future content, you get events, you get the balance changes, early ideas on what we're gathering feedback about. Tuesdays will stay the same, but for Friday, we will now be basically picking and choosing when is the most apt to stream to make sure that you get the most up-to-date news from one of the developers and make sure that, you're actually getting the chance to influence changes before they go live, which is actually how we're kicking off today's, because we've got lots to show you about the Terran, the AVRE. We've got a lovely sneak peek into all of the skills, equipment, and consumables. And we've also got a bit of an update into next week and the next steps on what happened with that terrain resistance test that was at the end of last season. So that's the plan. And just to make sure everybody knows about it, there will be an article going live that tells you for the next couple of weeks what Fridays we'll be streaming on. Just so that you're all aware and you can refer back to it if you need to.
Very nice.
Which actually rounds us nicely up into the stuff we're going to be talking about, which is premium tank balance. Mr. Bam.
Shall I take it away from here?
You can take it away. And I know you've been very active in some of the discussions around these.
Of course. So as most of you would recall, I was joined, I think I was with you, KB, 2 weeks ago. I was here on stream. Was it 2, maybe 3 weeks? I'm losing track of time. Not important. What is important is we here at Wargaming are working on this big quality of life initiative. This is a series of rolling updates we're adding to the game over the course of the next several months and even bleeding into next year, that we want to take you, the players in the community, onto the journey, get your feedback, making sure we are moving the game and direction into a positive way that you guys agree with. We run a lot of these aspects and initiatives by our super testers as well as our community contributors, but we want to also keep that transparency present and available to all of you as well. So that's part of my inclusion for today's stream. And the quality of life initiatives that we'll be talking about today, as KB had alluded to, we're going to go into where we are in those developments and some of the proposals, the things that we are actively testing and will be coming out pretty soon. However, soon, we're not giving out any specific dates at this time. These could be things that might be coming later in this season. It might even be things coming out in the next season. No dates to give just yet, but I want to be clear, nothing about the quality of life changes we're talking about today. None of that is coming on next Tuesday's update. Let me repeat that. None of the updates we're talking about today is not coming on Tuesday's update. So, just more things over the course of time.
Yes, exactly,
So,
Chad. Soon TM. But
Soon TM.
mostly it's to give you guys the chance to have a look at it, take it in, and further provide some feedback like you did as we kicked off all of these initiatives.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Premium tank rebalance. As you guys recall, with the launch of the Gods of Thunder season, we made some changes to the PZ-38H as well as the AAT-60 as our first two candidates of tanks that received some balance updates to bring it more in line with overall balance of the gameplay. We have two more on the docket that have been actively in test and gotten feedback from our CCs and our super testers. And again, we are presenting and proposing these changes to you guys to show you the set of stats we are looking toward and to get your feedback. And we go back into the drawing. No, not.
Shall we show them these stats?
Let me.
Or
Just a moment. Let me address some of the feedback items or the main concerns that the community is talking about these. Then let's get into the stats. So let's start with the FV4003 Centurion AVRE. The main feedback that we hear from you guys the excessive splash damage that this tank deals because of its shells, and of course its frontal survivability. The combination of its dozer blade, its turret armor, and of course module spacing that makes the AVRE just too durable for its class itself. Though admittingly, you guys are also arguing it's not quite about the armor that you feel is the issue. It's more of the trade-off of how effective that splash damage and alpha damage the tank can really slap. But also, in addition to that, how frustrating it can be as a tier 8 trying to go up against toe-to-toe of the AVRE in the matchmaking. Things that we are very well aware of and why we are having this conversation of this whole premium tank rebalance. So KB, take it away. Let's take a look at what are the proposed changes that we are looking at here.
So stats are now on. They range from the Hesh shell to the premium Hesh shell, but also looking at some of the armor on the dozer blade and its supports, whilst also we are in discussions for some accuracy reduction. Bam! You want to take it from there?
Yeah. So both the standard and the premium Hesh shells, as you guys can see here, we are reducing the penetration values as well as the explosive radius of the splash damage and bringing in the module damage a little bit further. And in addition, we did take a look to kind of bring down the survivability where it makes sense, because this tank can hold down way too easily and not just kind of shrug off any sort of shots. And again, especially going up against some of the lower tier tanks, when I say lower tier, tier 8s. So we are making adjustments to the supports for the dozer blade, as well as the dozer blade itself, reducing that armor thickness. And then, yes, some accuracy reductions are being looked into. We don't have exact stats at this time, as that's more or less a new inclusion after feedback from CCs and our super testers, as something we want to revisit and see about what reductions and changes we can do about the AVRE's overall accuracy.
Mm-hmm. And I'm fairly sure that you'll be coming back in some time to tell us that those extra changes will have been ran through super test, just like this lot on screen have already been through, so that we can, make sure we're heading in the right direction.
Correct.
And on that, these stats, you will be able to provide feedback on them in Discord. What we're going to do is open new feedback threads for them, so that you have a fresh new space, and it means it's easier for us to tell when did we tell you each bit of information, and we can see if feedback is updating, changing, and if, you agree that this is going in the right direction. And
hey, KB, you and I will probably be on stream in a few weeks after we've collected some more feedback, and we'll talk about what possible changes are we going to pursue for these tanks, or if we feel strongly that this is the right direction and this is what we will put into the game. Dates TBD again.
Exactly. Dates to be decided, which means this is not going live on Tuesday. Make sure to tell your friends.
Yeah. Quick call out. Max Minor Tanker. Removing steady aim would affect the AVRE accuracy. Interesting. Okay. We'll circle back to that really quick. We have another tank to talk about.
We do. We have another tank.
SU-152 Taran. So again, the feedback items we hear from you, the player base, the high concealment of this tank, paired with its massive alpha damage, is the main contention points. Makes this tank also very difficult to find any good counter play. So let's take a look at some of our proposed and in-test changes that we're doing for the Taran.
Those are on screen now. As the chat can see, we are looking at the gun itself, but also that concealment.
Yep, both the stationary and on-the-move concealment being reduced, and then that smoothbore cannon, both the damage and the reload times being changed. Altogether, we're bringing down that damage per minute to about just shy of 2,900 DPM.
Just about. And I think mostly this covers everything we have for the Taran at the minute.
Correct. I also should specify, these are, so we talked about the 2 tanks that launched, had changes and with the launch of the season. These are the next 2 tanks that we are currently looking at. I want you guys to know, because I'm sure players are asking, well, what about Tex X, Tank Y? Are you guys going to be looking at those? We absolutely are. There are more tanks, premium tanks rather, on the docket. We'll have more news to share and talk about details in a later stream portal article in the future.
Yes. And of course, the big thing to note is that we will be looking for all of the feedback over the different elements that we're talking about today, so make sure to keep an eye on Discord for those threads going live, and that means I get to pass on all of your lovely feedback to people like BAM and the rest of the development team.
Wonderful.
So, that wraps up premium tanks.
On to the next topic, shall we?
On to the next topic. We are now going to discuss that terrain handling test.
Yeah. So this goes out to our Cold War audience, of course. You guys may recall, I'm forgetting the exact dates, but mid-July, late July-ish, we ran a 1-week-long test in Cold War, specifically eras 2 and 3, where we have added terrain resistance handling changes to heavier vehicles in Cold War. This impacts the tank speed and chassis rotation when driving on different ground surfaces, such as driving on concrete and roads, where you would expect to be able to hit your top speeds, versus driving in dirt, sand, grass, or even softer surfaces like beach sand in the water, etc. This change would lend to better class variety, encouraging the roles of lights and mediums to lean into their strengths as scouts as well as assault flank roles. Meanwhile, the heavy tanks follow up to cover the front lines and deal the higher damage. Our goals for these terrain handling changes for Cold War ecosystem, we really want to try our best to mitigate the large team wolfpacking, YOLOing, and Zerging-like behavior. We know this has been very prevalent in the Cold War gameplay since the launch of the mode back in, we're talking 2021. And this is something we understand. Yes, it is a tactic to certain degrees. My argument here is a tactic that shouldn't be present or the only go-to tactic in every single match. I think it's more situational, where a map and layout can present itself as that is the best tactic to go through. But we want to make sure that more maps and other matches that you run into in Cold War have a little bit more variety to it. And again, offering that variety to other tank roles at the same time. Additional goals here, increasing our overall average match times. We know there are plenty of blowout matches or bases that get capped way too soon. We really are trying to improve matches that we don't like things when it ends in 3 minutes. There's no meaningfulness. There's nothing memorable about a match that ends within 3 to 4 minutes, etc. So we're trying to see what we can do to kind of bring up that match time. And let's be clear, terrain handling resistances is only one step in that direction. There's other initiatives that we're also talking about to help with that. And then 2 more things really quick on the goals of why the terrain handling resistances. Introducing more strategic gameplay. I talked a little bit on that already. But also, we want to look into removing non-viable maps in the Cold War rotation. As a lot of you are probably aware, there are select maps that are either too small or simply don't lend to fun or even balanced gameplay in Cold War. So those are things we are also keeping a strict eye on to determine which ones make sense. And now that we have a larger quantity of maps in rotation, we have a bit more flexibility where we can pull maps out from rotation, but still have a healthy variety so you guys aren't seeing a lot of the same maps back to back. All right, so let's talk about some of the community feedback, as you guys had that 1 week to join us in the test for the terrain handling changes that, again, impacted the heavier vehicles, both in Cold War eras 2 and 3. And we also created a finite rotation of maps, I believe 12 maps, in which we felt were good candidates for the test. And the overall sentiment on the terrain changes is divisive. Let's be clear. There's now no one simple answer that says, yes, we are good to go, or no, abandon this entirely. It's closer to a 50-50 split, I would argue.
Very much
in
so
terms of,
from what we were reading all over the show.
yeah. On the terms of like positive feedback, the tanks feel weightier. They feel like tanks now. You feel as you're going up hills or going through certain terrains that you feel like, yeah, I'm in a heavily armored vehicle now. But we're not doing this just about the realism. This is more about the gameplay, reducing YOLOing and the wolf packing behavior. Yes, there was some, but let's be clear, this discouraged a lot of it with the slower speeds, but it was still present in the gameplay. We made a step in the right direction, but there's more to be done here, clearly. And potential for balance. Seeing this as a step toward better gameplay, but needs to be applied a little bit more broadly and a little bit more surgical in some of our tuning. Because we do hear some players think maybe the Abrams tank handles very well. We think that whatever tuning was applied to the terrain changes feels great, but then maybe a tank like the Leopard 2AV or something felt like, okay, I see what you're going for here, but it feels off. It feels wrong. So we are taking those items into account in terms of when we go into next steps. On the negative side of things, kind of the comprehensive, what we're hearing comprehensively from you, the audience, this does feel very much like a heavy tank nerf and balance. Many heavies now just too slow makes them much more vulnerable, and it becomes a bit more frustrating when you're caught off guard by the faster light tanks and TDs out there. Speaking of the dominance of lighter weight vehicles, various light tanks and ATGM equipped tanks like the Weasel and the Jaguar 1 are seemingly now more empowered and harder to even counter and give chase. And this also has gone into more campy gameplay, slower movements leading to more passive and less dynamic matches. Things, again, we are listening and being very much aware of how do we best address these items. And so some of the suggestions that we are also hearing from you guys from our Discord channels and our super testers, thinking about applying the terrain resistance changes based on the weight and not the class. I actually need to clarify this. This is strictly based on the weights of the tanks themselves. But to be quite honest, if we're looking at heavier tanks themselves for the weight, yes, that's going to apply mostly to the heavy tanks. The disparity of the weight between a heavy and a medium or even a light tank is a pretty widespread. That's not to say we'll not pursue changes to the terrain handling on lighter weight vehicles, because we are going to take that into account when we go into some next steps. That was another request from you, the community, that we start thinking about, well, maybe there should be some tuning to the terrain handling on light tanks and lighter weight vehicles. That also applies to ATGM vehicles and light tanks, how to best restore balance. That's not just a terrain handling thing. That's broader picture, other items that we need to be thinking on that needs to be changed about those tanks. Map size and design when applying mobility changes. I talked about already that we are looking at removing certain maps that don't make sense in Cold War rotation, as well as continuing to apply the feedback and data from you guys and to do some more follow-up tests. And again, as we're doing now, transparency to tell you where we are at now and what we're thinking about for next steps. Before we move on, I got a few more points to make on the terrain handling side of things. Got some heat map data to share, as well as some more internal data, and then I will talk briefly on what we think is next steps for the terrain handling. KB, do you have handy our heat map image?
I do. I'm just getting it on now, so that should be up and showing the Fredvang heat maps.
Perfect. Okay, so to be clear, we do have heat maps of all the maps, the dozen of maps that we had in rotation for the test. But just to kind of focus the conversation and look at one case example, we're going to take a look at specifically Era 3 for the heavy tanks. This is the positional heat map on the Fredvang winter map. and specifically the South team. So this is not both teams at once. We're looking at just one team and the pre-terrain test versus the week of the terrain test. So the big takeaways here, at least from our standpoint, is the map meta and how to dominate and succeed in winning a match hasn't much changed. Players still move as heavy tanks to the key control points and the front lines that make sense to prevent the flanks of the enemy. But if you compare between the left and right images that we have here on screen, yes, you will see a lot of those, the hotter spots present here are still pretty much the same, but notice there's more fill in between the hot spots. The hypothesis that we have here is players in the heavy tanks are still making their way to the key hold points in the routes, but there is situations in which maybe they hold back, fall into other cover, or even retreat because they're not making it to those cover points quite as quickly. I'm not stressing this is a good or bad thing. This is just a measurable change that we see has in fact happened. And I should also stress this is very present on all the other heat maps in the maps that we had in rotation during the week-long test. And one more thing I will stress is this was much more present in Era 3 than Era 2. Much of that reason being is Era 3 is primarily comprised of heavy tanks in and of itself. We have a lot less heavy vehicles in Era 2, so that's why we see much of this change happening in the Era 3 ecosystem. So, in any case, other internal data points I'll bring to attention, and we can keep the heat map screen up here if you guys want to screenshot it or kind of think on and analyze your own thoughts on it, of course. But here's some internal data points I will just verbalize as we kind of go on. We have seen no meaningful changes to heavy tanks when it comes to their average win rates, to their average survival rates, the number of tanks destroyed that they are destroying, nor their average damage or even their distance traveled. I will say there is some difference, but it's not measurable. It's not a large enough impact. So when I say even like distance traveled, I've noticed for some tanks, it's like we've seen a Leopard or even an Abrams or a Challenger go maybe 50 to 100 meters less than they had pre the terrain test. On the reverse, we have seen an uptick in average damage as well as tanks destroyed for ATGM-equipped vehicles in Era 3. Weasel and Jaguar, obvious shoutouts. It was a very clear indicator during the week. There was a nice jump that we've seen an improvement and a natural balance update to those tanks. You guys also called that out in chat that you felt this terrain test is naturally improving those ATGM, Weasel, and Jaguar tanks, and that feels unfair. And now we have the data to certainly point a finger and say, yeah, this is happening. And then few light tanks, such as the Weasel 1MK and the Begleit's Panzer 57, we've also seen similarly same results, uptick in average damage as well as tanks destroyed in the Era 2 ecosystem. On the positive, though, one of our original goals about trying to improve and increase our match times, across the board, we have seen between 1 to 2 minutes extra on average match times. So that is a plus because we are starting to move it closer to a 6 to 7 minute average match time for the Cold War maps. There was even a couple that hit upwards of 8 minutes. So we're moving in the right direction, but again, there is more work to be done here. Speaking of more work, let's talk about what does the next steps look like for the terrain changes. So we improved our match time slightly. Blowouts as well as quick matches, they still happen. This was not the one-all be-all solve. We do see improvements to less YOLO and large wolf pack gameplay, but that is still present. And arguably, we have made matches more strategic, reducing some of that Russian and shoot as many enemies and as quickly as you can. So we're moving in the right direction, and we will plan to do some follow-up live tests. Not this season, more likely next season at an undisclosed date. We have to determine all that. We'll apply some more tuning to the heavy tanks and branch this out to more lighter weight vehicles as well. This also gives us the benefit by running another live test in the next season or so, because we can pair this test with other quality of life initiatives to help give the bigger picture of what we're trying to improve for the overall Cold War gameplay long term. Speaking of other quality of life initiatives, that's a cap on the terrain handling changes. This might be a good segue to talk about our last big segment for the quality of life changes, unless, KB, you have additional comments and thoughts to provide.
No. The only thing I've been thinking is please look at the chieftain, because the chieftain hurts so much.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Chieftain. I did see that one get called out as well. Okay.
Chat saw me try to use one of the chieftains and it did not go well.
This is why we test it.
Oh, yes.
Appreciate the...
We do have skills and lots of stuff to go over. I will preface this with the skills and everything on the screen that you're going to see during this next section does have really small text. There will be an article going through all of what we're about to talk to that goes live today as well, so you will be able to read it at your own pace and understand it in your own time without trying to cram all of the understanding in straight away with small text.
Good call. I shall do my best to vocalize the small text and give added context as we go along.
So,
okay.
Shall we show them everything and then dig into it?
Everything. Yes. So, another part of our quality of life initiative, the rebalance of our equipment, commander skills, and even consumables updates. Our goals here: mitigating stacking of stat bonuses that make tanks outperformers, tuning, reworking, and removing various must-have skills, which reduce build variety, and combining less used skills to increase their usability. This will create additional equipment and skill options to encourage users to branch out. And we also are planning to roll out these changes that puts as little burden as possible on you, the players. So you're not redoing all of your equipment loadouts. You're not redoing all of your commander skill loadouts. We want this to be as smooth and seamless as possible. And we'll kind of provide details as we go along. And I need to also stress that all of this, very much work in progress. This is our continued efforts to be transparent, run this by our super testers and CCs for their feedback. And now it's your turn as players here on stream. And again, as KB noted, the portal article will also share all the details there. We want to hear your feedback, because some of these things, as we are working toward, and we want these into the game as soon as possible, there are certain items we may have to hold back per your feedback, or go back a little bit to the drawing board if we feel that we're not moving something in the right direction.
Yes.
So let's touch on... Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just a couple of people are going, removed skills? If you go back and read our last quality of life initiative around this, it was only a couple of weeks ago that we released that article. We did mention we were looking at doing that. So if that tells you to keep an eye on the portal and also Discord a bit more, please do.
Let me be clear. We anticipated and understood that this would be some controversial conversation about removing certain skills. Yes. We'll get into that. That's the purpose of us talking about this today. Because this is we're only seeing one part of the puzzle right now. There's plenty more slides we're going to be covering here. I'm going to be talking for probably the next 20 minutes.
Probably.
Yeah. So let me first start off in order here. I'm going to talk about the new and returning skills, and then we'll get into the combined, unchanged, as well as the removed and skills that have been converted into equipment. We're not going to go over every individual one, but I'll try to hit some of the big call-outs and things that I know you guys want more details and the why we are making said changes. Jack of all trades. I don't know if our long-term players remember this one, making its triumphant return. This is reducing the performance penalty of your wounded crew members. So we are looking into bringing that one back. And also a set of new skills that include radio jamming to help reduce your spot detection, rocket scientist, and to be clear, this is an improvement strictly for unguided rockets, not ATGMs. And then our ATGM expert is a skill that improves your turning speed handling of the missiles themselves. Yes, combining a set of skills to improve their overall effectiveness. This is to make their inclusion much more meaningful in your commander skill build loadouts. A few call-outs here. We have our comms expert for increasing your radio range and also increasing enemy spot duration. And then also combining the behavior of ramming and fall damage into our new dynamic driving commander skill. Getting into our adjusted skills, unchanged and removed skills here, because I know this is where we get a little bit into some debates.
Mm-hmm.
Announced previously, Sixth Sense. Yes, this will become a permanent inherent skill to all commanders. So this does free up a whole skill slot for you guys to add in whatever other skill option you have of your choosing. Here's a bit of a noteworthy development story. On a caveat, we are not doing this,
Yes,
but this was something that we explored.
This is just some of the little backgrounds of all the discussions that go through. This is not happening, chat.
Yes. Let me also be clear. There's a lot of ideas we are always exploring, and we come to a lot of roundtable discussions. We present it to testers, and we determine, okay, this was not a good idea, or this is not an idea ready for its big curtain debut. And this is one of those. Sixth Sense, we explored the trade-off because we're adding this as an inherent skill to all commanders, about possibly adding a delay in which the Sixth Sense alert actually goes off for you on the HUD and the audio. For those of you that may know, on Watt PC, this is a present mechanic. I believe it's up to a 3-second delay when the Sixth Sense does trigger off. So we have explored, could it be a half second, 1 second, up to a 3-second thing? We did poll our super testers and talked about this a lot internally. And the answer was clearly no. We are not going to be adding any sort of delay to the Sixth Sense. Let's be clear, this has always worked the way it has in our game since the birth of World of Tanks Modern Armor on the Xbox 360, of course. So we are not changing the mechanics of Sixth Sense. There is not going to be a delay. Just wanted to let you guys know, just a little bit of a development story there.
Yes.
Moving forward.
And like some of the chat is mentioning, we do also have the targeted system. So we probably, as some of the super testers mentioned, we probably don't need that delay coming in because we also have targeted.
Correct. Let's see. Safe stowage skills is receiving an improvement that not only increases your ammo rack durability, but also a 50% reduction to the reload penalty if you have a damaged ammo rack. Okay, so let's discuss some skills that are receiving more reduced effectiveness as a means to help balance the gameplay itself. As you guys might see on this infographic we have on screen, a lot of the things that we show in green here, I probably should have prefaced this before just kind of diving right into the pool here. Green, effectively things that are receiving new benefits or better improvements. Yellow are things that are getting kind of a reduce in benefits. Red, of course, removed. The light blue is a conversion of something going into like an equipment or skill. And gray is simply kind of an unchanged or a rename, just to give some color coding labelage here, I suppose. Anyway, so off-road driving. We are making the effectiveness on soft terrain driving. That is coming down from 15%, having that down to 7.5. Born leader. This is going from a 10% to a 5% reduction in skill effectiveness. Camouflage expertise. This is dropping from a 10% to a 4%. I know this one might be a bit contentious as well. There are clear reasons, and we have other items to present later in another slide as to why this one's coming down. There are other trade-offs. And then the snapshot skill. Accuracy during turret rotation is changing from 12% to a 10%. Then, of course, we have our list here of unchanged skills. I won't go into details about those. They're just unchanged. They'll still be available to you guys. But let's talk about our removed skills. We know these are popular choices. Both the rapid loading and steady aim. We know that these are must-have go-to skills for any given commander. When you recruit and assign a commander to your tank, these are probably your first two choices on most of your commanders. And these skills are simply overperformers and make general game balance very difficult to account for when any given tank gets a passive buff to both their reload and their accuracy. And yes, while we know these are fan favorites, for the improved gameplay balance and better meaningful choices to your commander skill options, these two simply had to go. And then last on this list here, we have moved two skills out and turned them into equipment options. Silent Drive-In and Muffled Shot. These are options that make more sense as equipment pieces versus skills. We had to address the stacking camouflage buffs that the skills provided in conjunction with, say, Green Thumb and the improved concealment equipment. While players can still have these available as equipments, this does require picking and choosing what equipment pieces matter most for your tank and gameplay style you would like to experience. So it's going to be more of, if you still want that stealthy, sneaky gameplay of a light tank with good camo bonuses, you can still have that at a reduced factor than it used to be, of course. But you have to add on a little bit more equipment options or the select skills we still have present at the expense of maybe removing something for other accuracy or, let's say, reloading buffs, improvements that you would have on your tank otherwise. All right, so that's the skill changes side of things. KB, do we want to jump into the equipment updates?
I think we do. Which are, or should be, coming up on the screen now.
Okay.
You have equipment on 99% of your tank collection. Like most of us, again, what we're aiming to do is to make this as smooth as possible when this update does roll out. Remember, this is just a preview of some of the stuff we're working on. It's not final. It's all work in progress.
Correct.
And when it comes to it, when it does happen, remember, this is in the future. We will be doing this as smooth as possible. We're not going to remove everything off you and refund you for it. We're going to do the bits that, you know, are coming out or other ways.
Yep. I did see a quick call out. I missed your name. Something about stacking should be a thing in terms of stacking the bonuses that the skills can provide with equipments. Let me be clear. I mean, that is still a thing. We are just reducing the effectiveness of overstacking the bonuses where things are, again, really harming the overall gameplay balance. In any case, equipment updates. Let's start with the equipment that is being, the skills that are being converted to equipment. Silent Driving and Muffled Shot skills. These are now being called the low noise exhaust system and the flash hider equipment that we have here on the top left. Additionally, we have some exciting new and returning equipment pieces as well. Reprising its concealment glory, the camo net is making its return. This was once an equipment piece that only activates after your tank remains stationary for 3 seconds, in which then your detection is reduced by certain percentages, pending what tank type and whether you're in Cold War or World War II modes. And you can see, again, I apologize because I know the details might be small text. All of this will be on the portal article, but we do have the values present on a per class basis, and again, different between World War II and Cold War. We are also working on including the camo net icon that could get that would be included on your HUD that would help inform you when the effect is active. This is going back to how it used to work. Binocular telescope also making its return, a 15% bonus to spotting range when your vehicle is stationary. And like the camo net, this activates after being stationary for 3 seconds. And then a new equipment piece that we're developing for autocannons with overheat, the cooling jacket, which obviously just would help decrease your overheat penalty. And then lastly here, combining the engine protection, reinforced ammo rack, as well as the reinforced fuel equipment into now a single equipment piece known as reinforced internals. Onto our adjusted equipment and unchanged equipment side of things. The big one here, as KB noted, enhanced target info. Like the Sixth Sense skill, we're making enhanced target info inherent to all tanks now. No longer requiring an equipment slot. And additionally, you will still be able to keep that 4th equipment slot. We're not taking that away. That was an addition when we did debut the enhanced target equipment slot. But now that we're taking away the enhanced target info equipment, making it inherent, that equipment slot remains. Let's see, armor hardening. This has also been changed to increase your tank's hit points by 5%, as opposed to simply reducing damage received by 5%. This is going to be better for you, both as a player as well as your enemy targeting you, seeing a more perceivable HP difference when you have that on your tank. And then Spall Liner. This is reducing ramming and explosion damage, but is also going to be reducing the auto pen damage, which you guys might refer to as the bleed damage that auto rotary cannon tanks do, as well as reducing the module damage from ATGMs. Okay, and then next up here, equipment that is being reduced in effectiveness. Improved concealment, here to stay, but we're detection is being reduced, as most tank types here are being reduced in effectiveness by half. What we do want to call out is we are reducing the effectiveness further for tank destroyers in Cold War, bringing them more in line with the other classes, but still more effective than their class counterparts. The 30% camo bonus on the move currently is way too strong and is a big part, along with the camo bonuses from smoke consumables, is why it's a frustrating element to fight smaller, highly mobile light tanks or even tank destroyers in Cold War when they could get their concealment values under that minimum spotting range. And as a reminder, with the return of the camouflage net equipment, we do offer options for players to outfit their tanks for concealment improvements, pending if you want a more mobile playstyle or not. You can certainly equip both of these options, but the effectiveness of them do not stack. Let's see, other updates that we have here on screen. Gun stabilizer has been changed to only affect accuracy during vehicle movement and turret rotation. Previously, this did in fact improve just overall gun accuracy. Gun rammer, we are trimming that 10% faster reload time. That's coming down to a 5%. And again, for the gameplay balance purposes, we feel this is necessary. Additional grousers, we are slightly decreasing the effectiveness during hull rotation and whatever terrain type that you are driving on, that speed coming down. Gun lane drive will be getting a decrease from 12% to a 10% on aiming speed effectiveness. And then lastly, we have our list of unchanged equipment pieces still available to you, with a set of them being renamed to terms a bit more appropriate. And so that's a wrap up on our equipment side changes. And we got one more related slide as part of this quality of life initiative. KB, do you want to take it away here? And I can go through the details.
Well, hopefully this one won't take us as long, but we have our consumable updates, which, as you can see, isn't too many this time.
Not too bad. We went a little bit lighter on our changes for the consumables for this update, as we didn't feel that they had a lot of balance concerns in the overall gameplay. But we did improve a lot of effectiveness and even some gameplay behavior changes to some of these. So I'm going to try to dribble through these as quickly as I can. I just realized what time we are at here. So Cold War smoke screen. This is the standard non-premium consumable. This will now launch the 5 smoke grenades, like the premium consumable, covering a wider area and with a passive buff that decreases your spotted duration by 1 second. And we also added that passive buff to a 2-second decrease for the spotted duration for the enhanced smoke screen. Our enhanced fire extinguisher is now being renamed to automatic fire suppressor. As the name insists, this will now automatically extinguish any fires the moment your tank is lit up. No longer you required to do a manual button press to activate the fire extinguisher. Hole patch kits, both standard and enhanced, these are receiving some gameplay related updates. Let me be clear, this is for Cold War only, as you guys may know. Both kits can now restore up to 20% of your tank's HP, as opposed to 5%. However, the rate of which the patch kits heal your tank is reduced by half if you are mobilized, if you are moving and or driving around. And additionally, if you take any damage while the healing is active, a whole patch consumable stops and it gets canceled out. We are trying to encourage players to get out of the direct line of fire and fall back into cover to heal, versus what we see in gameplay now is the moment you take any sort of meaningful damage to your tank, immediately activating that consumable to start healing up right away. And then our last update on the list here, adding a passive bonus to the crew performance from enhanced rations. This is being reduced to 5% from the original 10%. But worth noting, the active use bonus of 15% will still remain. And then all the other consumables you see on the right-hand side of the screen remain unchanged. And as noted several times on the stream, we will have the portal article, which will have all of this infographic available to you all after today's stream. Oh, I got one more comment just to make on all this. I touched a little bit on it in the before we did the deep dive. Again, don't worry about having to redo all of your equipment and skills from scratch. For any skills that are being removed, you will have an open skill slot where you will be able to repick a replacement skill. For any equipment that is being merged, that you may have had one of those equipped to a tank, one of those pieces will become the newly merged equipment piece, and the other slot will be freed up for you to put a new equipment piece into. We want this change to be, again, as hassle-free for you, the players, and as smooth of a rollout as we can make possible. We are talking with our teams of how maybe planning some sort of free respec event, perhaps equipment refunds, or even equipment sales when the changes go live. More details on that when we get closer to the date that we ship these sort of changes. But just want to let you guys know we are very aware of how do we best make this a process easier for you guys to adopt in these changes. But in any case, we'd love to hear from you guys. Send us your ideas, of course, your feedback. What sort of build loadouts would you do with all the items that we talked about today? Do you feel like you can maybe still exploit something that have a good stealthy build or a nice mobile, fast-firing tank build yourselves? And again, what is your thoughts on all these changes? This is the purpose of us bringing this to attention. This is all work in progress and in test. We are here to collect your guys' feedback. KB, over to you.
It is. That's all the feedback. I think now that while you have time to get a drink, we're going to take maybe a minute and be right back with some more news. Everything we've just spoke about is all updates and development stuff that we're working on. None of that has any date of when it will come into the game. Everything we talk about after this small little break, well, that's going to be coming to you on Tuesday. So we'll see you in a minute, chat. Alrighty? See you in a minute. okay, I think we kind of snuck that one in on him, just about. And for those who said I looked a bit panicked, yes, I may have managed to get my little earbud stuck in my ear. The earpiece fell out and the earbud stayed in. It was like, oh dear, where are my tweezers?
Oh boy.
So yeah, we had to fix that one very quickly. But no, apparently we've also got new tech tree line. Surprise?
Surprise!
Surprise!
Got like a little sneak in reveal.
So, if I just do a quick few button presses, we should now see some of the tanks. And I think we're going to have a quick look at them all in detail. There will be an article about this one too. So you're going to have lots of weekend reading, chat. Lots of weekend reading.
Excellent. Yeah, just, I guess given a brief synopsis here, this is a line that will be branching from the Era 1 T-44A starter tank of the Eastern Alliance. This line features heavy tank firepower on a medium tank platform. They will play a bit more of a traditional role, featuring a balanced mix of armor, firepower, and mobility, using your speed and maneuverability to flank and destroy the enemy, and your well-armored turrets and low profile to keep out of the enemy's sightline and then as you move into Era 2 and 3, they take on more of a frontline support role. While they are not quite as fast as your heavy tank counterparts, they hit just as hard, but with deadly accuracy and improved damage per minute.
Mm-hmm. Now, this one is, of course, branching from that T-44A starter tank and moves into these lovely tanks. So we start off with the Object 430 and move up to the 430U. You do probably recognise them both, but the 430, the entire programme, I bet you guys could do the history as best as I could of between sort of 53 to 57. They were looked at for the replacement of the T-54. Prototypes were made, including the baseline, which is the Object 430 that you see. But ultimately, after the trials, they went for a stronger armour and greater firepower option, and the project was eventually disbanded in 1961. So, that's your Era 1 section. And before anybody shouts that I don't have stats, no, we don't have stats because, you know, we're running out of time. And BAM has more work to get done and more meetings to follow up with. So
I let them know I'm going to be a little bit late, so it's all right.
But all of the stats will be in the article once that goes live too. I believe this is another one that is going live after the stream today. And when is the live coming out? On Tuesday. It will be Tuesday the 19th. No stats, no dessert. Well, I didn't have dessert anyway, so that happened. So yes, there's your Era 1 tanks. We then also have a quick look at the Era 2 tanks, which goes into the T-64 and up to the T-64A. Do you ever notice a naming theme with the sort of Soviet-style tanks?
So, is it the T for tank?
Well, the T for tank, then we get some numbers, and then it just sort of goes A, B, C, occasionally AV, BV. Anybody else notice that, or is it just me? I'll take that as a just me then.
Yeah.
But no, we have the T-64, the T-60A, and then if anybody would be shocked, we go to the T-64B and then the T-64BV. And you, yes, I forgot the U. Okay, yes, I'll give you that one. But the top of this branch for Cold War will be the T-64BV. Where will the tech tree be? It branches off the T-44A in the Eastern Alliance. So, I've run out of things to say. My Soviet tank history isn't as good as some of my other tank history. But I think that might actually be perfect time to remind people that if you're not in the giveaway, get in the giveaway now. Because, you know, you don't want to miss out on one of 4 chances to get those. I'm being told that the articles are starting to go up on the portal. And other things that players can look forward to next week are a new on track, and I have completely forgot which on track it is. I
was not given those details on myself.
I want to say it's the Macavers. I'm using the wrong mouse. I have this inkling that it's the Macavers. Where's my handy little cheat sheet? T64 on track, RT on track. No, I'm you know what, chat? I'm 94% sure here that it's the Macavers. But I do have this.
Confirmed from our support team. It is Merkavas.
It is Macaver. There we go.
And Patty called it out too. Merkavas.
See?
Thank you, guys.
I knew it was Macaver. It's just I'm also working on a couple of weeks ahead as well, so I needed to make sure I didn't spoil something for later on. But for the Macavers, that will be everything starting from the M50 Sherman upwards and heading off into the Macaver side of the line. Other things to note is that the Lioness and the Magak 5 will be on sale as wallet savers, and the super savings, just because it's one of the commanders and a tank that I quite like, or liked previously. I did move on from it eventually. But we have Food and Boost, which is, of course, food and boosters. You can then get the Pershing 2D Commander and also the Super Pershing. So that is next week all wrapped up, including your new tech tree line. You have the line complete. Well, aren't you good for grinding that one out, Gungrave? And chat wants to know if maybe this week's tank was a hint to a Swedish artillery line.
Interesting.
Who knows? But if people keep asking for one, I might have to start nudging more people about one. Maybe, possibly.
We'll take in the feedback. We'll consider it. I know there's some SPG lovers out there.
There's quite a few. My DMs were flooded with praise over a new artillery. Right.
Hey, it's been a long time coming. We do realize that. But hey, glad people are having fun with the AKV.
And now I think it's time to perhaps sort out that giveaway. Once it downloads.
How many lucky winners are we picking out this year? This week?
This year, if it was going off the year, quite a few, but it would be 4.
4 lucky winners, all right.
4 lucky winners. I'm just pulling the wheel up now, and then if I press this button... So chat, you're going to have to tell me if certain Mr. Bam's camera disappears, but I think I've got it working that it shouldn't.
Oh.
Look at
that! I can finally be present for the giveaways. Look at that.
There we go. So, pick your colours, as we normally do. No? Nobody picking colours? What is this colour scheme? Summer Festival, I think it was called.
I'm going for yellow.
You're going for yellow. I'm going purple. Red, green, yellow. Okay, we've got the guesses coming in. Blank? How can we have a blank one?
That's when the giveaway crashes.
So, our first winner is yellow. You've been whispering through our wheel.
Congrats, Oingo fan.
Yes, Oingo fan. Oingo fan. I think that's how we say it. Are we ready for number 2?
Oingo.
Ready, they're even in chat. How lovely. Okay, I'm going home. I'm going home. Deputy Dog, I don't know how you've managed it, but congratulations again.
They went last week?
Tuesday. I'm fairly sure it was
On
Tuesday.
Tuesday stream. Get some lottery tickets, Deputy Dog.
So, there's a... already had an artillery given to them, and now they're going to be able to camo and emblem up that artillery. So, you know what? Congratulations to you, dude.
Yeah.
Alright, so...
Rigged! Hacks rigged!
Yeah, exactly, chat. Been whispering to the bot they have. All the bot whispering. A third one is... you can take this one, actually.
Sure. We got orange. Mega Vol. Congratulations. Our third lucky winner tonight.
Jeff is apparently blaming Winged, and you know what? Same. And then finally, our last winner for this set of giveaway items, bundles. Red has to be a winner. There you go, 20 Drew. Red does have to be a winner.
Hey. Very nice.
So
Tvoon 85. All right, congratulations.
So that is our 4 winners for today. Oh, button. There we go. Button pressed worked. And that wraps us all up for today. Chat, was that enough information for you?
It's definitely a lot for me, because
do you need more time to digest it all and go through it? Maybe, perhaps. Mayhaps. But anyways, on that note, we will be loving and leaving everybody for the weekend. If you are on Twitch, stick around. We will be hunting out somebody to raid, I'm sure. As long as there's somebody online. I'm sure there's somebody online. And if you're joining in on YouTube, again, we love you. Unfortunately, unless you're switching over to Twitch right now, you won't be joining us for the raid, so that's a shame. But we will see you again on Tuesday, and we will be playing that T64 line.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on stream once more, KB and community. Always appreciate it.
Shall we tell them that you'll be here in the not too distant future as well?
I will be a familiar face in the not too distant future.
The not too distant future. Then soon TM and all of that. So yes, chat, we will be seeing you all again very soon. Make sure to keep an eye on all of the portal articles, because there's even a special article dropping tomorrow, I hear, about some other events that's happening next week. And on Tuesday, we will be looking ahead for the what's happening and what's going on for the rest of the week. No, my name is not Blobby. Just pointing that out before chat goes all the way down that one. So, we're going to take another look at that trailer for the T64s, and then we will be raiding somebody from the category. So, chat, stay safe, enjoy your games, and we will see you all again next week. And don't forget to check in on Discord if you want to give any feedback.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Alrighty then, we will see everybody later. Doodles.